Today we're going to take a close look at the new Destruction Battletome. It's Beastclaw Raiders coming in hot.
Spiky bits.
Make sure you stay in the trenches by becoming a supporter over on Patreon and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.
What's up, Hobby Maniacs? I'm Baer, and it's Ogor time. This is the newest Battletome for the Age of Sigmar, and of course, you got all the new Age of Sigmar General's Handbook loving. You got all the allegiance abilities, command traits, battle traits, new war scrolls, new war scroll battalions, everything except for magic. They didn't get any new magic, so you're just gonna have to rely on the Butcher's magic in what is it? General? I guess it would be the Grand Alliance Destruction Handbook. Or if you download the War Scrolls, you can get it from that too. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. At least I think so. But anyways, so this here is all about the cavalry and the skirmishers and the scouters and these that basically kind of operate outside of the normal rank and file structure of the Ogre Kingdom, so to speak. So it's a great book. Again, remember this is the Codex kind of version of Age of Sigmar. If you compare it to 40K, again, it's the great hardcover format that we all come to know and love. $33 for this bad boy, which was a good value, I feel like. Whereas normally the big full-on ones are $50. So I'm kind of okay with that. I like the price point on this because I feel like at $33 I can justify this book. Maybe at the $50 price point, I can't, especially some of the Battletomes that have come out already, like Archaon's Everchosen. Hey, I feel like the content in there isn't quite worth $50, Games Workshop. I mean, I love you guys, but I'm not going to spend $50 to get 6 War Scrolls, most of which I can download already for free from your site, and a couple of battalions. So, kind of, I feel like $33, okay, cool, I'll buy it, I'll get the fluff, blah, 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 blah. Good to go, right? So that's where I'm at on that. That's kind of my feelings, my gut feelings there. Now this book, it's 120 pages. It's the normal, codex or a battalion or Battletome size, it's whatever you want to call it, that we've come to know and love over the past I guess less than a month since Age of Sigmar officially relaunched, and we've had the Sylvaneth or Sylvaneth, whichever potato, whatever you want to call it. Then we've had the Bone Splitters. They came out 2 weeks ago, and now we got these guys. So the current rate, there's plenty of material still out there that they can cover and make these books out of. So that's good to know. There's 10 War Scrolls in here that you can see right here. All the new stuff, which also the new models come with them in their particular boxes as well. There's 3 new battle plan scenarios, which are just basically like narrative play missions. They kind of walk you through some sort of crazy mission that occurred or something like that. It's neat stuff. It's very fluffy, and they always keep with the flavor of the army, which is important to a lot of players, and I personally like it as well. And then there's 8 War Scroll battalions, 4 right here and 4 right here, and one that contains Orruk models, which is really cool too to see, because now you got the new, kind of Orruk orcs, the Ironjaw guys, right? So there's a lot of cool stuff going on here, I feel like, in this particular book. So let's take a closer look. Now, of course, the first section here is all the fluff about who they are and what they do, and they're all about the old man winter, and that's kind of their thing. And then it gets into more about the particular tribes themselves, which also translates over to the War Scroll battalions right here too, okay? And then it gets into the bestiary, so to speak, where they're explaining, hey, this particular model, this is what these are known for. So you really get into that flavor when you're playing the models. You're you kind of have all this stuff going through your head about what they are, who they are, and what they do. Like the particular different Frost Lords and things like that. And then it gets into a little painting, which was nice to see in here, because normally you don't get a whole lot of painting stuff in here. And then it gets into the showcase of all the great looking miniatures, and I really like how they did this particular scheme here. Now, I personally would like to see more snow on the bases and stuff, but that doesn't like take anything away from these guys, this particular the new studio army, so to speak, because I really like how they mixed in like the frost elements and kind of like, you know, a lot of the grays and such, because it really pops. It pulls you away. I mean, from here, you know, I'm 3 feet away from the book, and the first thing I see is the stone horn, you know, the horns on it, and then I kind of see the white and the stuff over here. So I'm really liking the spot colors, and then how it kind of just brings you in to, and then you can see all the additional details, and that's kind of, to me, what painting's all about. You know, seeing that one thing that pops, brings you in, seeing those contrasts, and seeing all the great detail work as well. So, and if you can incorporate any of those into your painting, you know, that's what it's all about, because then, you know, you start getting more confident, you start trying new things, start moving on, and then once you can incorporate all those elements, it really just makes armies pop on the table, even from 3 feet away, you know what I mean? So let's take a closer look, just kind of some of the sections here. Like I said, here's all the new artwork and everything, kind of talking about who they are and what they do, and the particular factions, and some of the battles. Really neat stuff. Right, and then it gets into the particular clans, or I guess they call them, actually I don't know what they call them, the Alpha Stun? The Alpha Stun, I don't know. I'm basically calling them clans because that's kind of what they are, but they're called Alpha Stuns. I don't know what the background or significance of that is, but I'll definitely research it for our tips and tactics video, where we talk more about these bad boys here. And then some of the profile views in the different, you know, bestiary section here kind of gives you an idea of, like, you know, how to paint them, or, you know, what their pelt colors might be for the particular tribes. I guess they're more tribes than clans, to be quite honest. And then you get into the section here where it talks about specific I guess unit choices and like the cool stuff about them. So right, so all of that, Scarls. And then it gets into basically the miniature porn, the centerfold section, where it's going to show you all the great painted miniatures that we talked about. I really like that ice look, that blended ice look to all this stuff. It's fantastic. And then here's some of the stuff. Here's some snow. And this is what I'm all about. I really like this paint scheme. Very striking with the snow and everything. Oh, I really love this. And this brown lip here just creates just enough contrast, I feel like, that it really pops. I mean, it's even white, but it pops off the page almost. I really, I can't say it really enough times. I really like it. And then I like the little ice kind of weapons there. And if you haven't checked out my unboxing of the new army box that came out for these guys too, that's probably up on the channel here, probably one of the most recent videos before or after this particular one here. And you know, and I showcase all this stuff, and you know, these guys are fine cast. They actually, their details really well. Like, I hadn't seen a lot of fine cast models up close in, say, like 4 years, you know, or even on the sprue, but it really seems like Games Workshop got their proverbial crap together when it comes to casting those fine cast models, because there was no bubbles. There was maybe, you know, your normal amount of imperfections, but nothing that was glaringly obvious. And I was really happy to see that, because I was kind of dreading the fact that I needed these models in my army, or at least to have, you know, if I wanted to take larger games over 2K. And then I was kind of like, they're fine cast, but they look so good. I'm just like, oh, it's so torn. And then I saw the quality and I was like, okay, all right, I can work with this. Well played, Games Workshop, well played. And then it gets into painting glyphs and stuff on here, which is a great way once you get to that tabletop level of, you know, just the 3-color minimum with maybe some spot colors. You can go back and you can start doing these tattoos and things and all the glyphs, you know, and stuff like this on the capes, you know, because that looks great. That's tabletop right there, but this looks better. You can start doing markings and things to kind of group squads together and all sorts of stuff. I mean, the sky's really the limit, and that's cool for them to put that in there, because that really takes models to the next level. Okay, so then it gets into like some of the battle plans and things right here. There's 3 of those, really great looking stuff there. Then we get to the rules section, which we're not gonna break it down. We like to save these for the tips and tactics, because you know, this can eat up a lot of time. This is more of a first look video review of the new book, just to kind of let people see what's in here. You know, whether it's worth it to them to pick it up, or maybe just get some of the quick rules that they need. They left their book at home, whatever. You know, that's just what we do here. So standard stuff. You got the explaining what the allegiance is. Obviously, you know, we're working with Beastclaw Raiders here. Everything's going to have the same allegiance or keyword, so to speak. It gets into all that. You got battle traits, command traits, and artifacts of power. Once again, no magic, like I said. So the battle traits is really cool. It's not bad. It's Beastclaw Stampede. So on a turn in which they charge into combat, you can reroll all wound rolls of 1 made for Beastclaw Raiders models in the combat phase. Because remember, there's stuff in here that actually you can have Ogors too, so keep that in mind.
Then, which then at that point it would be a destruction allegiance. So Everwinter's Blessing. So at the start of each of the command phases, what is this here? Roll dice at each of your hero phase to determine the effects of Everwinter's Blessing on the battle. So you got a 1-2, you got a 3-4, and a 5-6. So obviously the 5-6s are most powerful. My personal favorite is 6, obviously. A roll of dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of at least one of your Beastclaw Raider models. On a 6, that unit suffers D6 mortal wounds. And then following that up, command traits, my personal favorite command trait one is to let you re-roll this here as well. So these are good when you get in. This is good just in general. So re-rolling it, you know, if you could get in, because now you can immediately move 3 here, which you can't run during as part of that move, but you can still run during your movement phase. This one would be good to get. And 3-4, well, I don't need to tell you what the odds are to get that on a D6. So if you roll it, you don't get it, and you can re-roll it, well, chances are twice as better that you'll get it again, right? And that could be good early game. So those are those. And then we get into the trophies, or basically the artifacts. There's no difference between, you know, artifacts for the wizards or artifacts for the heroes, because there is no technically wizards in this book. So it's just all magical artifacts right here. My personal favorite is the pelt of Charngar. Roll a dice at the start of each of your hero phases. On a 1, 2, or 3, the Baer heals 1 wound. On a 4, 5, or 6, they heal D3. That's pretty good. Especially when you got these big baddies with like 12 and 16 wounds. Oh, yeah. It's always good to have an extra couple of, you know, 1 to 3 wounds given back at any given time, I feel like. And of course, there's some other ones here. We will get into that on our tips and tactics video, but you can always pause and check it out yourself. Now, getting into the War Scrolls. Oh, and something else I wanted to mention too. Make sure you always read the preceding sections for a lot of stuff, because you can actually put down battalions as one unit when you're setting up in Age of Sigmar, right? So that actually behooves you, because if you have battalions, you can get your stuff down on the table quicker, which means you'll get to choose to go first, possibly if you finish setting up first. So it gives you another incentive to organize your stuff into battalions to try to drop everything all at once. But it takes away a little bit of tact too, because being able to tic-tac deployment back and forth lets you kind of outmaneuver and maybe surprise your opponent a little bit. So like I said, there's 8 of these War Scroll battalions here. My personal favorite, I could see a lot of people fielding the Jarlbad one right here, which is 1 Huskered on Stonehorn, 1 to 3 Stonehorde Beast Riders, 2 to 4 Mournfang packs, right? So that almost gets you right here to 2k points. I think, depending on how you do it, actually you couldn't do it any other way. You could do it, it'll be right around 1900 points. You may have 100 points left over. There's not a lot in this army that only costs 100 points, unfortunately. My particular army will be 2 squads of Mournfangs at 4 each for 800 points. I may slim that down depending on what I want to do. 1 Frostlord on Stonehorn and 2 Thunder Tusks. So this probably wouldn't work for me, so I'm going to look at working that around a little bit, maybe to see if I could kind of work that in to work my army around that. But that being said, again, this is I feel like this is a good one here. Another one of my personal favorites, and these are just the basic War Scroll battalions, but then you get to the back here, and you can see these are the Alfrostuns. I don't know how to pronounce that word, but what's good about this one right here is I'm a fan of this one, Vicious Beasts. These guys right here get to add 1 that all hit rolls made for these Mournfang Tusks in this army, and of course you got to take 3 to 6 Mournfang packs instead of 2 to 4. So always hitting better is always good in this game, I feel like. And then this one uses the Jarlbad, which is the one we just talked about right there. And then there's one last one right here, which has, this is the one with the Oruk models in it right there. So you can get the Gorgruntas. 2 units of Gorgrunters, which I feel like you can field up to 6 if memory recalls. So that could be a little pricey formation right there as well. Then it jumps into the War Scrolls, which we've kind of seen these before. They were available for download from Games Workshop, because when they put up the advanced orders, you could click on it and get the PDF of the models, which I guess really didn't matter, because
hey, they're going to come in the box set too, right? So why not give them away? So you got your Frostlord on Stonehorn, your Frostlord on Thundertusk. And the big differences between the two of these is you got the ones that do the mortal wounds, and then you got the ones that are a little tougher in combat. So that's kind of the, you know, kind of the different, the delineating factor between the two. Like, do you want to go offense, or do you want to be able, you know, to reduce half any damage and mortal wounds inflicted on this model, rounding up? That's pretty good staying power, I feel like, right there, right? Or you can go offensive with the really silly Frost table that just like does all these 6 mortal wounds, D6 mortal wounds, D3 mortal wounds, and then remember there's all sorts of stuff to compound mortal wounds as well. 13 wounds, 13 wounds, 3 up save, 9 bravery, and move, of course, depending on how much damage they've taken. Then it drops down to the Huskards, of course, again, similar abilities with the Stone Skeleton, and this Numbing Chill is actually kind of cool. Subtract 1 from any hit rolls. So this one kind of has a built-in almost defensive mechanism, but this one just straight halves it. You know, 50-50, I feel like this one becomes kind of good in my book because it has that defensive and it has that offensive, and I'm all about combined arms kind of style of fighting, synergistic overlays of abilities and defensive capabilities, I feel like, in any army that I like to field. I don't like to go all like super Death Star, all hard in the paint. I will play it, but it's not my style. You know, you gotta be true to your style sometimes. And then it gets into the Beast Riders themselves, which are just the generic dudes, not your HQ hero guys. Again, same abilities right here: Numbing Chill, Stone Skeleton, offensive output, defensive output, basically right there. Then we got only a couple of units left. We got the Icebrow Hunter, which is of course the Hunter guy. He's really cool. He's got some neat abilities too. I'm not sure if I'm going to put him in my particular army, but I like him. Frost Sabers, Icefall Yetis, those are the cats, those are the Yetis that we've seen already, and the Mournfang pack itself. Great looking models. I love seeing these guys on the round bases now. I'm a little jealous. I have some guys on square bases. I'm going to have to do a little converting, I feel like. I'm going to have to pop those guys off, get them on some round bases, and go cruise to town, I feel like. So that's it. 210 pages down. Our first look is complete for the new Beastclaw Raider Battletome from Games Workshop. Check back next week for our tips and tactics, where we break all this stuff down, and I'll go over a couple of army lists I've worked up too. It's funsies time.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. TheLongWar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.